Well, this is summer solstice and it's 3:50 a.m. and the sky looks lighter than it actually is, but yeah, it's not light at all, but it looks light because the street lamps are on. So yeah, and I'm out to the at the end of the longest day, 2021. It's a strange thing because 2 years ago I was in Stratford-on-Avon and completely oblivious to the fact that the world was about to be turned upside down with the Corona era. And of course we were all oblivious, weren't we, even when it struck. I mean, there was the event 201, which was in November 19, which was when it was planned. The period was planned, and then in March 20, when the period struck, that was when they said it'll take 3 weeks to flatten the curve. And now of course we're 16 months in, so that was a complete lie. Make of it what you will. We all have different beliefs about this period we're going through, but I think we can't be in any doubt that we've been foisted into a different time, a different epoch, and we'll see the changes between now and 2030. See what's coming up then, which will be very interesting. Quite startling actually, I would imagine. There's a lot planned, such as a digital currency, probably a one world digital currency, where all your purchases initially will go through a smartphone, and then a wearable such as a Fitbit watch, and then an implantable which will be forced into your skin. Most people will elect for it because they'll be given to think that it's a cool thing to have. So that'll be forced into people, and then you'll pay through that, and it'll all be digital. It will stay to be a fiat currency, but it won't be backed up by gold or anything like that. So we'll have complete digital currency. And to look what's going to happen in the West, look no further than modern day China. So if you want to see what's happening, look at a China documentary on YouTube or any other tube, and you'll see what they call a social crediting system. The sky's brilliant, isn't it? Social crediting system whereby we all are controlled via apps and a new regime run by artificial intelligence and algorithms. And so in the next period we'll see driverless cars, we'll see more automated production, we'll see drone deliveries, we'll see the world completely changing. And we'll also see one of Bill Gates's philosophies, which when he said if we do a good job with vaccines, he was talking about changing the world with the use of those injectables, and you will definitely see the world changing. You're already seeing it anyway, so it doesn't take me to be any kind of prophet to say the world is changing. It is changing, and we're now going into a period of what the leader of the World Economic Forum, Klaus Schwab, called the Great Reset. Now, nobody at all wants the Great Reset. apart from the leaders of the world. And you'll notice at the G7 summit last week, they're all on the same page. So they talk about build back better. And what they're actually going to do is create smart cities, smart grids. That's what the smart motorways were about. So they're using the Klaus Schwab wrote a book called COVID-19, The Great Reset. You can read it, buy it on Amazon. Klaus Schwab, COVID-19, The Great Reset. So COVID-19 gives the controllers an opportunity to bring in social crediting system, digital economy, digital currency, a one world government, a one world bank eventually, and that will all be run through AI algorithms, and it will need to have total control over the population. Linked to that will be the universal basic income, which will be about, they're trialling that in the country of Wales at the moment for some people, which I think is about 850 quid a month. So it's not great, but it's probably enough to scratch by on. So many things. We're actually living in an epochal change. This will be similar to the fall of the Roman Empire. It'll be similar to the Second World War. It'll be similar to the Russian Revolution. Not everybody's going to the future, as it says in one of Madonna's latest songs, when she's dressed up as Madam X. X being the Masonic number, of course. And she says, not everybody's going to the future, wake up. And we will see now all the things. And also, which is almost unbelievable, that Obama and a few other of the controllers are talking about an alien invasion recently, which is just like straight out of the pages of Star Trek or James Bond. And that, of course, will necessitate the need for a one world army, which will tie in with what old George Bush and all the rest of the controllers were talking about when they talked about the New World Order. And they've removed the words New World Order now, and they're calling it the Great Reset, and they're calling it Build Back Better. But it all boils down to the same thing. It boils down to complete and total societal change. So, some will survive, some won't. It depends if Bill Gates is able to do a good job with vaccines. So in the background, so yeah, they'll use the so-called alien invasion to necessitate a one world army. And that will tie in with the one world government and the one world digital currency. And then we will have then there will be complete dominion over people. People will be controllable, and you'll see all the effects of the so-called climate change agenda and the COVID-19 explanation and the vaccine agenda, and it'll all come together, and by 2030 you will know everything, and all the doubters and all the believers and all the people who turn up and put their little crosses on little boxes on the little hillsides, and all the believers who believe in democracy and think that they're really having a choice, when in all truth what they're doing is swapping one Oxford shill for another, or one Harvard Skull and Bones Society member for another. Every world leader is on this agenda, every one of them. is singing from the same hymn sheet. When do they ever do that? So there's an agenda. By 2030 you'll be able to see what it is, and then you'll go, fucking hell, really? It'll blow your mind. So you need to be very emotionally resilient for that, and you need to be strong, and you need to be prepared. So what can you do? What can you listen to about that? You can listen to Ralph Smart. He's got some good ideas, positive ideas. You can listen to Sasha Stone. All these are on YouTube or brand YouTube. A lot of people have been banned off YouTube because they, what can I say? They are wanting to tell the truth, but the truth doesn't fit the agenda. The big social media companies, oh, it's getting lighter now, look. I like to be out at the break of dawn on once a year. Yeah, the big social media companies, which are talking about Twitter, Facebook and YouTube, maybe TikTok. The big media companies want everyone who contributes to be singing from the same hymn sheet like the great leaders do. So they want complete woke talk. So I saw in the news just one tiny example, the news earlier today, where there's a bloke who thinks he's a woman who is competing in the some women's weightlifting thing. So now everybody knows that eventually that will blow women's sports and athletics out of the water, because you'll basically have men identifying as women, and no one's saying anything against it. And if you do, you will be banned off Twitter, or if you're a business, you'll have your advertising ruined, or if you speak out, you'll be eliminated off Facebook or YouTube, because these huge social media giants are part of the agenda. So you need to be listening to people who aren't on the agenda, and that means, because the mainstream media is all owned and controlled by the same people, so the mainstream media peddles and perpetuates the same myths as the mainstream agenda and the controllers of the world. And because of that, because of its hypnotic effect, most people believe what they see and hear on the television and in the newspapers. They think they don't. They might even think they don't, but it's power of auto-suggestion and hypnotic trance. That's how they do it. And that's why most people go along with things. So, anyway, I could go on forever, but we've got some real rough times coming up. If you think that's not the case, just imagine now, the house prices are going through the roof, and even though a lot of people are furloughed, no one wants to work now. So, all this money that's been given to people in handouts and bungs, it's borrowed money, it's all debt. And the country's going further and further and further into debt. So what's going to happen next is that they're going to say they're going to have to jack the economy in and say we need a great reset, because we can't sustain the debt payments any longer. We need to reset it. And that's when you'll find a massive economic crash is coming. And it'll make the 1918 stock market crash, the Great Depression of Wall Street, it'll make it look like child's play. And that's coming. That's what we've got to look forward to. Sorry to be a prophet of doom on summer solstice, but all I can say to you all is have a good time with your life. Do what you can. Life's very short. You don't really need the leaders. You don't need to vote, because your vote doesn't mean anything. What you need to do is become as independent as you can. and have as good a time as you can. Watch some funny films, go for walks, be immune to the messages, try to see through the agenda, because we're being bullshitted 24/7. I'm one of the people who can see, and there are many of us, but there aren't enough of us. If there were enough of us, none of this would be happening. But that's not the case at the moment, so some of my friends and some of my people tell me that people are waking up and, you know, coming to their senses. I don't actually see any evidence of that. What I see is complete and utter ignorance. In most people, not all. But I mean, I can count the awake people I know on two hands. Because people don't have time to do the research. They don't have time to see the agenda. It's took me years. It's took me since the collapse of 9/11 towers and loads of research to pour into my funnel of knowledge. And people don't have that time to do it. So we just need to believe. Well, you'll see it anyway soon. I don't have to preach. I don't have any agenda to peddle. I'm not important. I'm just a muppet. But you'll see it soon, and you'll find that the world will be entirely different by 2030. So I'm going to leave this video on, and I'm going to look at it. I'm going to put loads of filters on it because I can't stand the thought that I don't even want to see what I'm saying, if you know what I mean. I almost don't want it to come to pass. What I and most of you would have wanted would have been for things to stay the same with just minor adjustments. I'm telling you now, things are going to be dramatically different. And I mean dramatically different. Now, anyone who knows me and knows what job I've got, you know I'm not mad. You know I'm not a fucking idiot. So, believe me, I know what's coming. I've seen the future, and it's not pretty.